So I'm lucky enough to be under the care of the London Transgender Clinic. I'm going to talk a little bit today about my experience of becoming a patient under the London Transgender Clinic and what my pathway looked like in terms of reaching a hormone prescription. I've been on hormones now for about 1 month. And so far I can't fault the care I've had from the London Transgender Clinic. They've been completely transparent with me the entire time about what the process it has been, what the costs have been. Everyone's journey is going to look different and everyone is going to find that their experiences are different, and some people's journeys are going to take a little bit longer than others, and some people are going to find that they're able to access the care that they need really quickly. I just want to be really transparent about what my journey looked like and sort of how I made the decisions that I have made. So before I started to sort of come out socially and come out to my partner, I was doing a little bit of research on my own time into gender clinics and what sort of care was available and was out there, because I wanted to be as informed as possible when it came to making any big decisions. Now, I came across the London Transgender Clinic very early on. If you start Googling trans healthcare, they would be one of the first things that sort of come up, and they're one of the most popular clinics that people talk about quite regularly. If you're a trans person in the UK and you're looking for private healthcare and you're sort of local to London, they're the obvious first choice. First of all, it's worth saying that they have an incredible customer care and they have an incredibly active social media presence. So they're very accessible and very transparent. One way I've heard them being described is that they're very down with the kids. Although it sounds a little bit silly or gimmicky, actually it means they're very accessible, very relatable, and the way they communicate is adaptive. No one's experience is the same, and it's very much tailored around your experiences prior to sort of coming out and requiring any sort of transgender related care. And also your personality and also your medical needs as well. I've had nothing but positive interactions with them and I can't fault them at all. There are some other clinics in the UK as well that do a similar thing and can get you to a similar place that may be more local to you, more accessible to you, or maybe just feels, you know, like you connect with them more. London Transgender Clinic have been nothing but amazing with me and got me to where I am now, and I'll be saying the same thing, you know, in sort of a year, 2 years down the line. So the first thing you'll always be told is that before you can receive a prescription for hormones, you have to have a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. It can be quite painful to think of it as a diagnosis or as some sort of illness, but we're living in a bit of an archaic time. The way I like to look at it is that it's less of a diagnosis and more of a professional endorsement for medication. Changing the way I sort of viewed it has really helped me see it as a really positive part of my journey and less of a negative. What I didn't want to do is see it as an assessment that's only going to highlight flaws within my being, because that's not what it is at all. So London Transgender Clinic use a number of different specialists who can all give you the referral that you need to become a patient under the private clinic, London Transgender Clinic. So for me, they had 3 different specialists available, all have different wait times and all charge something different for their services. Generally, the cost is between £300 to £500 for that psychological assessment, but it really depends on how many sessions you require. If you see one of these specialists and they decide that you require a follow-up or 2 follow-ups or more than that, although it is costly, it is absolutely necessary to ensuring that you get the right care that you need and that all precautions that you might need taking are taken, because it's a very personal thing. Hormones can really affect your mental state, they can really affect how you interact with people socially. It can also really dramatically change how safe you are in some instances. So these specialists need to be really clear that they're making the right decision for you, that you're as safe as you possibly can be, and that you are healthy and essentially a good candidate for hormone therapy. So as I was saying, the cost varies from sort of £300 to £500 per session. Some people it does only take 1, and some people it might take more. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look through the available specialists and you want to reach out and you want to get in contact with them, and you want to talk to their team and sort of get a feel for what the process might be in terms of booking an appointment with them. Now, the specialist I chose to see, it was really, really simple. I said what I was interested in and I said what I wanted to gain from the assessment. I was really, really clear that I am transgender and I'm looking to start hormone therapy, and I wanted my referral to be sent over to the London Trans Clinic. And I sort of wasn't going to take, not that I wasn't going to take no for an answer, but I was really clear. I knew what I wanted, and it's still what I want, and it was always going to be what I wanted. There was no doubt there. So once I'd booked this appointment, I was sent over a few forms to complete, patient registration forms, and then a bit of a background questionnaire. And it wasn't too intense, but it took about half an hour to complete, and it asks you a number of different questions on different things. And it's just to get a bit of an idea of who you are, what your background is, and where you're at in terms of your transition. What they're trying to do is build a bit of a chronology and a bit of a timeline in terms of, you know, how long you've been experiencing any sort of gender incongruence for, what your first experience is around recognising your gender, or maybe the discomfort that you've had around that, and you know, sort of what your time frame, what your timeline has been for that. It's not to judge you at all. It's not to say that people who have experienced it longer have more legitimate reason for wanting hormones at all, or would be more entitled to it, because everybody is different. Some people have known for years. I remember my first experience feeling that I was, you know, wrong was sort of around the age of about 5. I'm 28 years old now. I came out when I was 27. It's taken me a really long time to get to this point. And what I didn't want to do when I had this appointment with the specialist was to feel sort of in any way invalid, because I'd only been out for about 6 months or so. One of the first things that they said to me during our appointment was that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how long you've been out. You generally won't be having that assessment or that appointment if you weren't experiencing some legitimate feelings around gender incongruence. And so they were really, really kind with me, really, really sympathetic, and you know, made me feel valid and seen, and that's what you want. And this is why the London Transgender Clinic use a particular set of psychological assessors, because they're all differently qualified, but they use particular people that meet their standards and sort of their values as well. So a few of the things that they're going to ask you on these forms, some of them are a bit strange, and some of them are really, really straightforward, but generally it's to get a bit of an idea as to who you are. So first of all, they're going to start going through a bit of your medical background, get a bit of an idea of your social history, any major sort of life events or major medical events in your life, get a bit of an idea of your timeline of gender incongruence and sort of what your first memories and experiences of the challenges around that you might have had. They'll also ask sort of what your life is like at the moment, what you're doing employment-wise, what your life is like socially, and what your sort of goals and ambitions are as well, to just really round off that sort of insight into who you are. And then they'll also ask for maybe some additional supporting paperwork. So if you've changed your name, they may ask for a copy of your deed poll, or maybe a copy of your identification to show that maybe you've changed your name on there as well, if that's relevant. And obviously name changes, it's not for everybody. You're not going to lose marks during your assessment for not having changed your name yet. During my assessment, I said that I wanted to change my name. I was just struggling to find a service that would sort of tick all my boxes in terms of what I wanted. And the person that I saw sent me a great website there and then and said, you know, you can fill it out now, send me over the confirmation when it's done, and I'll attach that to your referral as well. And so that was really great. It was really helpful, and I could just do it when I was on the Zoom call. So it was really, really simple. So at this point, you've booked your meeting, you've completed the necessary paperwork, you sent that back to the clinic, and now it's the day of your Zoom meeting. During the meeting, the assessor is just going to get a little feel for you. You might have a bit of a chit chat, the same way you would do if it was in person. And then you're going to get down to sort of the finer details of things. And really, it's going to feel a little bit anticlimactic, probably, because you're going to go over everything you've already submitted to them. So it's really good that you've got a copy of what you submitted already, or if you submitted particular dates for different things in your life, that you have those with you at that time to reflect upon. I made the mistake of getting all of the information I needed, submitting the paperwork, and then when it came to the actual face-to-face Zoom call, I misplaced all of the dates, and I had to then figure them out on the spot, which left me a little bit flustered, and it meant that what I said didn't quite match up with what I'd submitted originally. Now, it's not a huge problem, but you want to be relaxed during this interaction. You want to feel completely comfortable, and if, like me, you struggle with dates, times and numbers, trying to remember them on the spot was a little bit challenging. We got there in the end, but just for yourselves and just to make your lives a little bit easier, try and have a copy of sort of the main timelines, main events, the main things that you answered already. Have a little copy of it with you to make things run a little bit more smoothly. It's really important to be completely honest and completely transparent with your assessor, and to present as authentically as possible. If you are, a trans woman, you don't have to present in a completely overly feminine way if that's not what you feel like. You don't have to play up to what you think someone's expectations might be. Just present as yourself, as you would be most comfortable. Starting any type of HRT can be quite turbulent. We're literally flipping the way our bodies work on its head, sort of, it's completely new. And some people compare it to a second puberty, and if you think back to your first puberty, it was probably horrible for you. It's kind of like a positive puberty almost, but it can be really turbulent and it can really play on your mental health. So your assessor might have a large interest in what your support system is like around you, whether your family are supportive, if you've got a partner or partners, are they supportive of you as well? Do you have any particularly strong friendships or friends that are going to be there and support you through this transition? They want to know that your mental health is stable, has been stable for a little while, and that you're going to be able to cope with the changes and the social changes that will come along with starting HRT. That's really important. It's them doing their due diligence, and it's them just making sure that you are safe and that you are a good candidate at the moment for starting HRT. Once you've had the assessment, you may receive a referral towards the end, depending on how the assessment went. You may need a couple of follow-up appointments to go through some finer details. You kind of have to trust that the right thing is going to happen for you at the right time. And as frustrating as it might be to need more than one appointment, you need to trust that things are going to work in the right way for you, in the best way possible. And although, as trans people who are coming out, maybe past our teen years, maybe into our young adult years and even older, we do feel this incredible sense of loss for our youth and for the time that we've missed being authentic. And so it can feel like a real sort of kick in the teeth to have to wait longer. But I promise you, it is worth it. Please just trust the system. It will get you to where you need to be in the safest way possible. So once you've completed all of the assessments that you need and any follow-ups, you should receive a referral to the clinic that you've requested your referral to be for. As I said before, mine was for the London Transgender Clinic, and so my assessor sent over my referral, I think maybe that day or maybe the day after, and once the clinic received it, I was able to call them up and book my hormone consultation with them. So there are a few really key things though to keep in mind when you're going for your psychological assessment. Now, whether that's in person or via Zoom, like video call, you want to keep a few key things in mind. Now, the first one is that you want to be completely honest. You want to be completely genuine in how you present. You want to be completely genuine in all of the data and information that you give over as well. You sort of build up a level of trust with your assessor as well, and you need to be completely transparent with each other. You want to go into it with all of the information that you've already supplied, and even if that means before booking your assessment that you're talking to relatives maybe about particular serious medical events that might have happened in your life, in their lives even, or any sort of medical history, you're building up a bit of your own background, and it's good to have that prior to booking it, because if you book your appointment and it's only a couple of weeks away and you don't have all that information yet and you haven't filled out your paperwork, it's going to be a little bit stressful. So get as much information on you, your family, as you can, and you probably won't even need most of the information that you gather, but it's just good to have it there. Also, don't worry if you haven't been out long or you haven't come out yet at all, because that doesn't change who you are as a person. Now, your assessors are extremely qualified and very, very experienced, and they know what they're dealing with. You don't have to prove to them that you have this huge long timeline of being the person that you are, because the reality of it is you've always been the person that you are. If we're lucky enough to choose, we decide when it suits us the best and when it feels the safest and most comfortable. So don't worry too much if that's only been a few weeks or if it hasn't happened yet at all. It doesn't change who you are, and it doesn't change the validity of your request for that referral. And the last real thing is that you need to relax about it. It's a really big occasion, and it can feel like the start of a whole new life. This is for you. This is about your health, your happiness, your freedom. It's everything that you deserve and everything that you deserve to be happy. So relaxing and just sort of enjoying the movement behind it. And please remember that you absolutely deserve to be comfortable and happy. 100%. And so if pursuing HRT and hormones, it supports your transition in a way that's going to benefit you and make you feel more comfortable and more authentic, and you're able to live your life the way that you want to live your life, then absolutely, you deserve that. So that rounds off how I access my referral to the London Transgender Clinic. So as I said, any questions, please let me know. Other than that, this has been a wild ride. Thank you for sticking with it. If you want to add anything as well, please leave a comment below or just drop me a message on Instagram. I'm always happy to answer any questions. I'm always happy to hear about people's experience as well. And again, as I said before, just remember to be as authentically you as possible, be as honest and transparent as you can be, and please relax, because this entire experience is about what's right for you, and what's right for you in your health is going to come first.